Gretchen, I can do that while you get going.
Okay, could you message them? That'd be great. Thank
Number
you.
7.
Call in user 7. Yes, thank you. And we are recording, so Angelia, whenever you're ready. You're on mute, Angelia.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to call the meeting of the St. Louis County Board of Zoning Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Angelia Bills, Chair, Justin Randall, Vice Chair, and Vincent Nutt, Member. The Department of Planning staff members are Debbie Nesbitt, Abby Fordle, and Gretchen Arnold. Also on the call is John Burford from the County Counsel's Office. First, I'd like to offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, March 20th, 2024. The board hereby takes official notice of and admits into evidence on the record the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 1003, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended, and Chapter 1004, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended. Next, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous BZA meeting on March the 6th, 2024.
So moved.
Here a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passed. This meeting is conducted as a teleconference and is recorded. The planning staff will read each request into the record and present technical advice to the board if needed. The petitioner will be unmuted, state their name, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the reason and hardship for the requested variance. The board will not consider financial hardships. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts. When the board is satisfied with the material presented, the chairperson will then ask if there is anyone in favor or opposition to the request. To do so, click the hand next to your name. If any comments were submitted, staff will read them into the record. Before a call for the vote, the petitioner may request a continuance in order to bring in additional documentation. The board may also request a continuance in order to gather additional information or for a visit to the site. Once comments have been heard, the chairperson will call for a vote. At that time, the discussion has ended. No further discussion is permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits to establish the use requested, or the variance will expire. The petitioner or any interested party has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. Paperwork indicating the board's decision will be mailed to the petitioner.
Alrighty. The first petition today is 20-24 Don Shrimp. This is a request for an exception to the side and rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a retaining wall, and it should say fence in lieu of instead of deck, at 4541 South Ridge Meadows Drive, maintaining both side yards of 0 feet in lieu of 5 feet and a rear yard of 0 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R6A Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 12,423. Harold, I'm going to request for you to unmute again. Again, just state your name for the record and then you'll be able to present to the board.
I'm sorry, my name is Harold Sin.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. And basically what we're requesting is a variance to put the retaining wall back on the southwest corner of the property, about 34 lineal feet of retaining wall. And then replacing the fence that was there, replacing it above the retaining wall, and then across the rear of the lawn. And we're raising the lawn 3.5 to 4 foot at the very rear. And they was doing that to create a level lawn area for her children and grandchildren. And that's the purpose for all of this.
Okay, so when you say a level lawn, does that mean it's like a drop off? We're looking at the,
Yeah, it's currently got a drop off from the back patio. It drops off to the back fence, and it drops off, like I say, approximately 3.5 to 4 feet. And so we're wanting to raise that area and reconstruct the fence. And of course, the retaining wall on the southwest side, the purpose for that was to get around the MSD has got a storm sewer in that corner. They've got a storm sewer lid there. And the purpose for the retaining wall was to get around that so that we didn't interfere with MSD's manhole cover there. And we got approval from MSD to put the retaining wall on their easement. And so that's pretty much it.
So am I hearing correctly that the existing fence location is still the proposed fence location? It will just be on top of the retaining wall?
Correct. Yeah. The existing fence location, we're just looking to raise everything up and put the fence back in the same place that it was originally, or is now currently. And it actually currently sits on the property line on the rear and both sides.
any other questions?
I don't have any at this time.
Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I know of one, obviously, but for anybody else, if you're here to speak in favor or opposition and would like to do so, please make sure you raise your hand next to your name. Harold, I'm going to put you on mute. If you need a rebuttal, we will unmute you. Scott, I'm going to request for you to unmute when I find you. There we go. Scott, I'm going to request for you to unmute so you can speak to the board. And again, just state your name for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Scott Vierling. I am a neighbor of Dawn's, and I think what she is doing is fantastic. The biggest concern from an HOA perspective is that, and I think Harold even addressed this, is that when Ameren comes around to cut trees or whatever, and there was that sewer drain, we have drainage issues in our neighborhood, like I'm sure a lot of people do. We were worried that the drain was going to be in Dawn's yard. And then if MSD has to come in and tear everything up, tear up a fence and stuff, we wanted to ensure that it wasn't on the HOA because this is kind of new, something new for us. We wanted to make sure that let's say, any replacement that could have to happen was not on the HOA. But it sounds like, Harold, you guys have already taken care of that. There's no opposition from our side.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So I'm going to put the neighbor on mute again. I will unmute the petitioner's representative in case you guys have further questions for him on that. Harold, I'm sending a request for you to unmute.
Okay, I'm back.
Yep. Does the board have any further questions for the petitioner's representative?
Oh, I do. So the one respondent said that you have made measures regarding the stormwater or if the sewer company has to come in and tear up the fence. You all have arrangements for that?
Well, and whenever MSD gives approval on the thing, they give approval subject to if they would ever have to come in, we'd have to do the repairs if they ever had to dig up dig up the sewer down through there. We've actually built the retaining wall at an angle across the corner of the lawn to stay away from the manhole cover completely. So that, and it's not in, that portion is not in Don Jord at all. It's at the corner of the properties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
That was mine and you answered it.
Okay, well, hearing none, I believe that we're ready to vote. What is the number for that petition again?
The number is 20-24 and the petitioner is representative is muted so the board can take their vote.
Okay. In the matter of 20-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised. And the hardship is just the need to make the lawn more safe for children to.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carried.
All right. Moving on to 22-24, Teresa and Gary Weaver. This is a request to an exception to the front yard regulations for the purpose of replacing the front porch and stairs at 312 Dangenhart Avenue, maintaining a front yard of 5 feet in lieu of 20 feet as required by the R5 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. Stephen, I'm going to request for you to unmute.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, we can hear you. Go ahead and just state your names for the record, and then you'll be able to present to the board.
Stephen Heights.
Hey, Kevin Poe.
You're good to go. Thank you.
Yeah, so my name's Kevin Poe. I'm the executive director of the Housing Partnership. So we're a nonprofit, and these repairs are being done with grant money from FHLB of Des Moines Bank. We do these repairs for more income qualified, low to moderate income folks. So Steve's our contractor. This house is over 100 years old. So the porch is existing as part of the structure, but it's unsafe now. So we're replacing it as is basically. Obviously it was built before setbacks were required and all that. So this is their entryway into the house. The front stairs were kind of crumbling and the concrete, it was not a safe structure. So we contracted Steve to replace it. And that's when we've run into the permitting issues because now you have setbacks. So that's the entry to their home, and it's you can see, I don't know how many feet up that is, but it's not a flat entry, so they need the stairs to access the front door. And it's his house is in Lime. It sits right on, there you go. I mean, right at the road. So we're just looking to occupy the exact footprint of the stairs before, the porch and stairs prior.
Okay, so are these the pre-existing stairs or have you already begun the work?
We started on the work, but we have not completed it.
Can we go back to the site plan by any chance?
And those wood steps are temporary steps so the owners can use the front entrance.
So the existing sidewalk, concrete sidewalk, those stairs are part of the sidewalk.
They're not.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like those existing concrete sidewalk, those stairs that are the concrete are part of the sidewalk.
And just to confirm, is there any landing portion that is not a part of the sidewalk? With the stair configuration, looks like it's coming right to the edge of the sidewalk. If I'm reading this right, I'm just looking for clarification.
There is, I don't, but I mean, it's maybe 2 or 3 feet in front of the sidewalk.
So what we're looking at in this photo, that plywood, that is essentially part of the existing sidewalk, or is that part of the?
Yes.
Correct, yes.
And this is simply the existing configuration as well that was torn out, or I'm just trying to understand where the original landing came down.
Same spot.
Same spot. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I have no further questions.
I don't have any questions.
And so, just for clarification, and I think you may have addressed this, with Vince's question. So the actual stairs are like, those bottom stairs are before the sidewalk then?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, and then the bottom stairs just go right out into the street.
Yes.
Okay, and then another question, stairs, what is the material that you're gonna finish these stairs in?
The whole structure will be concrete.
Which is what the previous structure was.
With iron railings?
Yes.
Are there any other questions?
No, I mean, this is pretty typical in that Lime area. The houses are built right up against the, front property lines, and those decks are extending down towards the street, or entryways.
Yeah, correct. That's.
I don't have any other questions, Angelia.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time, I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so the board can take a vote. Give me 1 second here. It is going to be 22-24.
In the matter of 22-24, based on the existing condition and the location of the previous porch and stairs that were unsafe, I recommend approval of the variance as advertised.
I second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes.
All right, moving on to 23-24, Deborah Milner is a request for an exception to the front and rear yard regulations for the purpose of replacing a deck and stairs at 3622 Rish Avenue, maintaining a front yard of 10 feet in lieu of 20 feet along Paradella Avenue, and a rear yard of 5 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R5 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. And Stephen and Kevin, I'm going to request for you to unmute again. And again, just state your names for the record, just so we have it, and then you can go straight into your presentation.
Stephen Height.
Kevin Poe.
You're good to go. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically same scenario, same grant program. This is though a back deck. So this was a very rickety, you'll see on the pictures, the back porch is the access to the upstairs of the home. The only access to the upstairs. And, even when Steve and I went and first looked at it, it was so shaky, it was kind of scary to even walk on. So again, when we replaced this, we were looking at, again, it's a 100-year house, 100-year-old house. It's the deck that was existing on it and, pre setbacks and all that. And we're just looking to replace it with the same footprint, although I believe Steve's architect now is even going to shift the stairs out to the backyard and move it towards the side of the street. There you go. That's their access to the upstairs.
So construction has already begun on this, correct?
Yes, but those steps are not going to stay. They're going to be put towards the back of the backyard.
Yeah, those are access right now.
Are there any other questions?
I don't have any questions.
Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time, I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so the board can take a vote. This is 23-24.
In the matter of case 23-24, I make a motion to approve the variance, citing the hardship for the stair being in poor condition on an existing location and wrapping to the back of the house for a better installation.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, moving on to 24-24, St. Louis County Catholic Church Real Estate is a request for an exception to the lot size requirements for the purpose of allowing a pre-K through 12 private school at 796 Buckley Road, maintaining a lot size of 8 acres in lieu of 20 acres, as required by the R4 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. Kyle and Tom, I'm going to request for you guys to unmute. Just please state your name before you start speaking, just for our minutes, and then you can present to the board.
I'm Kyle Keating, and I'm representing Providence Academy. Providence is a pre-K to 12 school. We've existed since 1994. We've occupied space at 5293 South Lindbergh for the past 23 years. We have 147 students enrolled for next year, so we are a very small school. We're one class per grade. We're a private, independent institution. Our current location that we've been leasing from is going to renovate their building in ways that will prevent us from continuing to lease with them. And so we've been on a 1.5 year long search for a new property. We have been in communication with the Archdiocese about the property on 796 Buckley, St. Matthias Parish. And both parties are interested in securing a lease arrangement for the school to occupy that space. And so we're, to give you a sense, we're aware of the 20 acre requirement for high schools, and we have 28 high school students total at our school. The lot at Matthias is 8.1 acres. There's 46,000 square feet in the buildings on site, and there are 220 parking spaces on site. And so all of those actually are increases over the present space that we're occupying. And so we imagine that we will fit this space comfortably. We don't have lots of the things that you might imagine when you think of a high school. You might think of a football team or baseball team. We don't field those sports. The only sports that we field are basketball, volleyball, and cross country. And so we don't need excessive outdoor space for those uses. And so the amount of green space, square footage in the buildings, and parking spaces are more than sufficient for our needs. And St. Matthias has previously functioned as a K-8 school in the past. And so we're essentially seeking to use it for that type of purpose moving forward.
I have a question about student parking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any student drivers?
We do. We probably average about 8 to 10 students that drive.
And you have adequate parking space for them and the staff as well?
Yeah, so there's 220 spaces on site. We have about 25 staff that will park and drive, maybe 5 to 10 parents that will be in and out throughout the day. I imagine that on a daily basis, we wouldn't use more than 50 of our 220 spaces.
Has there been any discussion on if the need for a traffic study coming off of the entrance or anything is going to be impacted during the day, school days, times, drop-off periods?
We haven't. We don't. The vast majority of our families, when they drop off, they will either park and come in, or they'll loop around within the parking lot in such a way that we won't impact for example, there's not going to be a long line of cars that are dangling out into the street. We have 60 families total at the school, of whom 15 are faculty, so they'll park and stay anyway. So there's just not a high volume. I manage our drop-off line every day, have done this morning, and we average about 12 cars through the drop-off line in the morning. The others will park, bring their kids in, and that's typically how a morning goes for us.
Thank you for that. I have no other questions.
Do you have any questions?
I don't think so at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
If you would like to speak, if you could raise your hand next to your name, or if you're on the phone, that just helps me identify. I know that there was somebody who said they were a neighbor, so let me see if they raised their hand. I'm gonna request for them to unmute, I think, and we'll go that way, that route. I think that might be easier with the phone situation today. So Kyle and Thomas, I'm gonna put you guys on mute so we can find out, and then if there is a need for rebuttal or further questions from the board, we'll unmute you guys again. Kathy, I know you're on the call. I'm gonna request for you to unmute. We'll give her a second. Okay. Kathy, if you would like to speak, I'm gonna give you, says she does not have any questions, so there's no hands from the public, so we're good.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and we're ready to make our decision.
Okay, this is 24-24.
Okay. 24-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised. And the hardship is just the need for adequate space for the school to run.
Second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed, the motion carried.
All right, moving on to 25-24, Michael Airy. This is a request for an exception to the front and side yard regulations for the purpose of constructing entrance gates and posts at both driveways at 7316 Christopher Drive, maintaining front yards of 12 feet in lieu of 50 feet and side yards of 4 inches in lieu of 20 feet, as required by the NU non-urban district regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. And then, Mike, I'm going to request for you to unmute.
My name's Mike Airy, and I'm the owner of this property at 7316 Christopher. We're constructing a new house. The existing house did have front entry gates, columns, a fence along the front. And we are basically we kept most of that fence, but we are replacing columns and the gates. And so I think the only issue, when you file for these things, you don't really know what how it works exactly. I think the columns and the fencing is all fine because they're under 6 feet or right at 6 feet. The issue is the gates. The gate company recommended that they go from 6 to 7.5 feet for security purposes. And so that's what we'd like to do. So I think the only real issue is, can we put that tall of a gate in the area that's supposed to be the setback?
I have no questions.
And I'm sorry, can you repeat how tall the fence and gate were going to be?
Right, the fences and the columns are right at 6 feet.
Okay.
The gate starts at 6 feet at the outside edge and then rises to 7.5 feet.
7.5. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
If you're a neighbor and you would like to speak, please raise your hand. We'll give it a second. I know there is a neighbor on the call, but we'll give them a second here. All right, Mike, I'm going to put you on mute so we can check and see if this neighbor wants to speak. And if need be for a rebuttal, we will allow that. I know the call-in user 3. If you have something you would like to state, we requested for you to unmute. Going
My name is Gary Ziglang. I'm a neighbor.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to add into this conversation, Gary?
No, I have absolutely no problem with it. I saw sketches of it and it's absolutely beautiful.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's the only neighbor I knew of on the call for this petition, so. And this is 25-24, unless the board would like for me to unmute the property owner, so if you had further questions for him.
I'm good.
I think we're ready to vote. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In the matter of 25-24, I recommend a motion to approve as advertised.
Second.
I said, okay, I concur. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Nobody opposed.
26-24, Michael and Kim Besh is a request for an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of replacing an above-ground swimming pool at 9660 Amona Court, maintaining a rear yard of 10 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R5 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. And then let me unmute both of them. Mike, I'm going to request for you to unmute, and then Mike, I no longer see your wife on here. She might have lost connection, so you might be doing this solo today. Let's see here. Mike, I sent you a request to unmute on your phone. We might be moving. There we go.
Can you hear me
Mike.
now?
Yep, I got you, Mike.
Hi, my name's Michael Bush. I'm requesting to get a variance of about 3 feet to replace an existing swimming pool. This first one was not done properly. I am trying to do this one properly, and it looks like I missed by a little bit.
I had a couple of questions. So the request is to put a pool in the existing location of the old pool? Or is
Correct.
it shifted? Okay. And then can you tell me where the pool equipment will be
The
located?
pool equipment will actually be up by the house, and I'm going to pipe my return and supply lines out to the pool.
So what is your hardship?
I am 2 feet too close to the back fence.
And point of clarification, in-ground pools don't really count for lot coverage, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That
I
might
was
be a
asking
Debbie
the staff.
question.
Yeah, that's a Debbie
Hey,
question.
Debbie.
Yes, that they do not count. This is an above ground pool.
Okay.
But this is where he had the other pool. So it does make it look, it will make it look nice since he has the retaining wall there.
Are there any other questions?
I don't at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner so the board can take a vote. This is 26-24.
In the matter of 26-24, I make a motion to approve the request for variance for the new wall, stating that this is contingent on being a above ground pool.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you.
27-24 Catherine and Ronald Cruz is a request for an exception to the rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing an above-ground swimming pool at 6859 Ardell Drive, maintaining a rear yard of 10 feet in lieu of 15 feet as required by the R4 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County zoning ordinance. Catherine, I'm going to request for you to unmute. Again, just please state your name for the record, and then you'll be able to present straight onto the board.
Hi, my name is Catherine Cruz.
And I'm Ronald Cruz.
Perfect, thank you.
State your case.
Okay, we're looking for variance. We don't have the footage required in the backyard. We have a shallow backyard and the house sits back from the front yard. And
Yeah,
we're looking to put an above ground pool in.
we need a variance of 10 feet rather than 15 feet.
Are there any questions?
You can go back to the site plan.
Yep.
Okay. And they're staying outside of the utility easement.
Correct.
Is the hardship that this is a standard that's pool size? Is there a standard or is it custom pool size?
Oh, it's a standard.
It's 15 by 30.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the property owners so the board can take a vote. This is 27-24.
In the matter of 27-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised. And the hardship is just that it's a pretty shallow lot.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 And the motion passes.
Okay. I did not see a representative for 28-24, so if you are a representative, if you could raise your hand for me. We also have another call-in use. Okay, I found them. All right, cool. So we'll go on with 28-24. Marvin, whenever I'm ready, I'll request for you to unmute. So 28-24 Manisha and Asha Patel is a request for an exception to the sign regulations for the purpose of replacing signage at 2975 Patterson Road, maintaining a roof sign height of 24 inches in lieu of 12 inches as required by the C8 Plan Commercial District Regulations, Section 1003.168 Sign Regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance, and C8 Ordinance 21,284. Marvin, I'm going to request for you to unmute. Please just state your first and last name, and then you can present to the board. Marvin, I've sent you a request to unmute. That doesn't work. I might try a different option, but I think if I moved you to a different spot, it's going to still ask for you to request to unmute. I've requested for Marvin to unmute, but I don't know if it's working on their end. We'll give it a minute. Because I personally don't know either from my end how that looks for their side. Okay. Marvin, I think we can hear you now. Oh, he just went back on mute.
Oh, okay,
There we go, Marvin. There we go.
Marvin,
If you can just say thank you, and then you can just go ahead with your presentation.
appreciate the patience because I am not that computer savvy, but my name is Marvin Stringfellow, and basically we for the name of the business, which is Infinity Market, I didn't design the logo, but the way the logo is designed, and the size of the space where we're putting it, we need as much height as we can get in order for it to really look proportional to the awning area, which is about 7 foot tall, about 25 feet wide. So, something 7 foot tall, you can imagine what something 12 inches tall would look like on that, especially if it's, it's at least 2 lines of copy. It's a little bit over 2 lines of copy, the name of the business, that is. So if, the commission would allow another 12 inches, that would definitely help on the look of the name of the business when we get done.
Show that photo again of the
sign.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is this a proposed sign? I'm confused. Is it a proposed sign or is it an existing sign?
Proposed.
How far back off the road are you?
Oh my goodness, easy 100 foot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty familiar with this area. So, okay, because there used to be a Asian restaurant over there.
Right. As a matter of fact, he's taken up, let's see, if you divided it up, maybe 3 spaces or whatever, the whole market is about 80 feet wide.
Okay, so this is a new store that's coming in over there?
They're already there, but they, I guess initially they occupied the area closest to Patterson Road. Now, when I said 100 foot back, that's 100 foot back from Wapata. It's probably 100 plus. From Patterson Road, that's a different elevation. They're probably, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 feet from Patterson. 50
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm familiar. It doesn't face Patterson on the long side.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay, perfect.
And then what's on the short side over here facing Patterson?
The name of the business again.
Okay.
And
is that
Infinity Market. Mm-hmm.
So that's Infinity Market on that inside row?
So I think for clarification, the top is kind of
facing
when you're
Wapata.
facing when you would
Gotcha.
pull in into the parking lot, and then the lower image is what would be facing along Patterson.
Gotcha.
And there's no request for the Patterson. This would be facing the other
direction.
Okay.
That's facing. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more the issue is the the sign, the total amount. Debbie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like on the side closest to the parking lot, their total number of signage versus on the other side, there's just the one sign. So the one sign I think is not part of the request.
Well, he's okay on signage size. He just needs that to put these signs on the roof. We only allow a 12-inch high off that angled roof, and he's asking for 24 inches off that roof. So it's just the location basically that he needs the variance for.
So Debbie, is he needing it for both signs then, or is it just the one?
I'm not sure. Both of them. Okay.
Both. Okay. So that was my bad. Sorry, guys. I did not draw for both of them, but they're the exact same kind of situation.
Okay. And is there any light? I mean, is there any lighting or anything connected to these signs?
Yeah, these are individual channel letters.
Okay. But
So
nothing flashing or billboards. No. Okay. Are there any?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so the board can take a vote. This is 28-24.
In the matter of 28-24, I make a motion to approve the variance as advertised due to the distance off of the roadway and being able to see it from the road.
Seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, and that's all we had for you guys today. So we just need a motion to adjourn whenever you're ready, and then we'll see you at the next one.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting for the afternoon.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And it passes.
All right.
You
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Appreciate
See
all your
ya.
time.
Thanks.
Mhm.